Post has everything under the sun. 36 by 60 inch windows with or without grids, $149. All other sizes starting as low as $99. Don't pay big box prices, but hurry. Limited quantities available. You better get it when you see it at West Yellowknife.
There is no need to pretend that we live in some very uncertain times right now. And if you're getting up, taking a look at your finances on a regular basis, some days perhaps you feel good and the next morning perhaps you're feeling rather low. So what can you do to try to be in charge a little bit anyway of your own destiny? Well, you can watch this morning because Kevin Fuerst is back on the show. He's with Fuerst Financial Group here in Chattanooga, and his topic today is going to hopefully anyway, Kevin, put people a little bit in some control. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thank you for having me.
You are one of the few people I know, you actually get excited, your face beamed when you said, let's talk about estate planning, because you believe in it so much.
I do. I think that it came from my grandfather. My grandfather, when he passed away, we thought that you just go in, you settle the estate, and it would be done in a week. That was our mindset. This was back in the late 80s. 2.5 years later, we finally settled the estate, and it wasn't a large estate. It was just the process of going through. Executors lived out of the state. He passed away in Illinois, and so we had to appoint someone in state to be the executor, which we ended up appointing the attorney. And so that process just took a long time. It cost thousands of dollars, and at the end, for what? And so I brought that back really to my client base and said, look, we've got to figure out a way to avoid this. And I got with attorneys and some professionals, and they said the only way to avoid probate court is joint ownership or a living trust. And so we look at those two items when we're trying to avoid probate court.
So I had asked you earlier if you had clients coming in these days saying, Kevin, the country is just in such a wonky place. What's the point? And you said actually it's the opposite. You feel like it's at times like these that people gravitate to this.
I think that's right. I think that people are looking for some stability and some direction on what should we do now? What are some of the things that we can do? And in wealth management, like what we're focusing on today, of course it's their money, are they losing money? How is inflation going to affect? What happens if I become incapacitated or pass away? In the meantime, what happens to my assets and how much of them are going to be lost to the system that if they do nothing? So they want to plan, and really a lot of people, I've heard this several times over the last few months, they're trying to get their house in order. And I think that's a good way to put it.
I'm at a place in my life where my children are almost there. One's 24, one's will turn 18 this year. So I can kind of focus in a little bit of a different way. And there's time in my world now to think in a way I couldn't 4 and 5 years ago. But when people come to you, if they're in their 40s or 50s, that young, do they often say, Kevin, I don't know what to do, kind of give me a plan?
Yeah, exactly right. So part of what they're looking for, again, is direction. What do we do? Here's where my finances are. Here's where my estate plan is, if they have one at all. What are they doing about taxes? What are you doing about insurance? Those are the things that we talk to them about. And really, kind of like an architect, we put together the plan and help guide them through the process so that at the end, their money goes to the people they love, the organizations they love, and/or they can walk into retirement having confidence that they're going to not outlive their money.
It's about as intimate of a relationship as you have with your primary care doctor. I mean, you know everything about somebody, so trust is a big thing. Do you find that people sometimes come to you for that first meeting and leave saying, I thought this was going to be uncomfortable, but you made it very easy?
I hope that's what they say. We try to not be, for lack of better words, salesy. I like to educate. My wife's she teaches, and so education to me is extremely important. I think if people get the facts, understand where they're at, and then what they can accomplish by putting a plan in place. It's just, to me, it is the best scenario for them.
Even if you go into the meeting with you thinking, gee, I hope that I can walk away and he'll tell me that I'm on track to have $2 million, and instead they leave knowing they're on track to have $500,000. At least they know.
Yeah, so being brutally honest, I think, is part of our strength. We just have to be kind. And so, but being brutally honest about where you are, I think that's part of being real and being a planner, to help them understand that their probability of success is going to be, whether it's 100% probability that they're going to be able to do what they want to do, or it's 50% probability. You should know where you're at. That's getting your house in order, I think. Unrealistic expectations are horrible, especially because they end up different than what you thought.
Well, and if you don't do the planning, then you could have been on track to have the $2 million.
That's right.
But if you're not protecting it the right way, you'll spend it all and you won't be left with anything. Correct?
I think most of us live without a budget. We just spend what we have and think we're going to be okay, and it's it can be avoided. You just have to take the time. And I think your example of the primary care doctor in your health, because the two most important things to people should be their well, not the two most, but in this world, the two things that are most important would be your health and your finance. I had a gentleman, a client, told me a long time ago, there's two things you should watch: your finance and your health. He just happened to be sitting in a wheelchair with half of his legs cut off because of diabetes, couldn't spend his wealth.
Wow.
And he was worth millions, but couldn't do the things he wanted to do because he didn't take care of his health. So health is extremely important, I think, for people, as well as their finances.
Well, and besides, if you are generally living your life in a healthy way, that gives you a clarity of mind, which then empowers you to be better in charge of your finances and the way you live your life.
Correct.
Wouldn't you agree?
I totally agree with that. Totally.
So in terms of making an appointment to come and see you, when people call the number, do they kind of tell what they're wanting to come and discuss, and then your folks know how to schedule from there?
They can, really. We do what's called a complimentary consultation. We try to figure out or do as much discovery up front of what it is that is important to them, whether it's the estate planning, protection, or putting their, like we said, house in order, or is it they don't have someone that they're working with, that architect that's really putting everything together, or are they just they just want to know, or maybe they're a do-it-yourselfer where they've done everything themselves and now they just want some help understanding, am I okay? And so that first appointment is important, we think, just to have them relax and understand, look, there's nothing you're signing up for today. We always tell people, don't bring your checkbook, don't bring anything. We aren't going to take a check today. We'll talk about all that later. Let's find out what it is you're wanting to do, and if we can even help. Sometimes we can't. Okay. And so that's...
But what you are going to get is honesty. So if you will call their number, it's there on your screen. It's the Fuerst Financial Group, 899-8555. I love the website because it's growkeepleave.com. Kevin, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
We offer a non-opioid, non-narcotic